So with that, if she is here, I did see her and then oh, there she comes. I can see her. I am going to introduce, oh my gosh, look how beautiful your hair is. Look how long it is. With that, I'm going to introduce you to what is probably the biggest specialist, expert, and guru in media that I've ever met. And she's also one of my coaches. So Lori A. McNeil is absolutely amazing. Get a very thick journal out because it's going to be like this. Not like, oh, here, let me jot down. No. It's like zzz, like that. It's that kind of writing. Lori, take it away.
Marianne, thank you so much for having me this morning. It's always an honor to open for your events. Every single event that you host is incredible with an incredible lineup of speakers, and I am honored every single time to kick off your events as your keynote speaker. So thank you once again for having me this morning. I am having a little bit of technical difficulties, so I might be switching devices here in a few minutes, but I'm starting off just in full transparency on my phone, and I might switch to my computer. So thank you in advance for your patience. But I wanted to, so in case we have a little bit of a glitch issue, then you'll know what's going on. But I wanted to just thank you so much, Marianne, for having me. And I love offering as many what I call just completely nugget truth bombs as much as possible in the time that we have here together as we kick off this event. So Marianne is right. You always want to take a lot of notes and have your pen and paper ready because I tend to drink from the fire hose pretty much every day. And I love passing on that knowledge and information to you guys. So with that, I want to go ahead and just dive right into this amazing topic that Marianne has. And Marianne has amazing topics every month. And today we're going to be talking about aging and health and business and all kinds of cool stuff. So to get us started and to set the tone for what we're going to be talking about for the rest of the day, I thought I'd take a little bit of a different spin on the whole topic. And if you guys have listened to me before in these summits that we have on a monthly basis, you know that I always try to bring you to the most up-to-date, cutting-edge information of things that I'm in conversations that I'm having with people just regularly every day. So if I'm bringing something up, and Marianne knows me enough to know this, it's because I've had dozens of conversations about something. And so I bring that to the forefront to just kind of combat any kind of questions, challenges, issues, information that people are having, not just random topics or random things that I throw out there. So every single month, I bring certain things to the table that are challenges that I am hearing from people basically every 30 days. So we have a kind of a different conversation, which is really fun. So most of you know me as a media branding and marketing expert, and maybe have heard me talk about the different aspects of media and branding, but I thought we'd kind of flip that on its head this morning and talk about it in a little bit of a different way. So I want you guys to wrap your heads around where you're at right now with media branding and marketing. And I love teaching the trifecta about how powerful those three things are to build your business. It's not just enough to go all in on one or two. You really need to understand the power of how all three of them fit together. And so when you understand who you are, who you serve, the problem that you solve, then it makes your messaging so much easier in understanding who it is you're actually speaking to and how to use all of the graphics, all the typography, all of the messaging, all of the words that you need in order to reach that particular avatar that you are after. But here's the interesting thing. What if the branding essence, as I call it, of branding isn't quite communicating the message that you intend for it to communicate? So most of you know that I'm all about different fuchsias, different magentas, different shades of pink, because that actually speaks to both the male and the female audience of my avatar. But what if you're not even using the right colors and you don't even know it? So if you do a deeper branding dive into your actual corporate branding colors, then you understand who it is that you are embodying yourself and who it is that you are trying to reach. But what if, as we age, those colors actually are communicating a different message than what we intend? And some of you may say, well, wait a minute, Lori, I love this color. I've had this color. I intend for this to be my, my color or my brand for, the next 30, 40, 50 years. I hear you, but what if you're not paying attention to how your own colors are changing within your skin tone or within the essence of how you show up, or the different things that are basically not communicating the same message. So let me give you an example of both what I see in both men and women in the colors that they're wearing. You always want to be yourself. You always want to show up fully authentic in who you are, but what you need to be aware of what those colors do as you age. For instance, how many of you have heard that black is slimming and you want to wear black? You want to wear a lot of black. Well, what I'm seeing is that a lot of women are wearing too much black. So it's the old school way of thinking that if you wear a black blazer or a black pair of slacks, that kind of goes with anything. Well, that's true. But as you age, you want to be really careful about wearing too much black, because it actually does the opposite against a lot of as your hair changes, as your skin changes, as the different branding essence of who you are tends to shift internally, which then affects how you show up externally. You want to be careful about how you are really representing your brand in those colors. So I see a lot of mistakes in women that are wearing too much black, too much tan, and too much white. And especially when you put those colors together and you start to get between like 45 and 65, when you wear those colors, you're actually not communicating the message that you think that you are. It has a completely different tone to what it is that how you are showing up and how you're communicating. Now, if black, tan, or white happens to be one of your base brand colors, then it's how you use that color and how you are evolving with your brand and how you are showing up without changing the core branding of your business. So as your hair color changes or as your skin tone changes, then you want to be very aware of how those colors could actually be misrepresenting you. So that's one example. Another example I see in men as they get older is that they tend to gravitate toward tans. And I'm not even sure why this is. It's almost like when a guy turns a certain age, he wears a lot more tan. I've just noticed that. And that actually has the same effect in men that it does in women, that when your skin changes, when your hair changes, when different aspects externally change, those colors don't communicate the same thing. So you want to be very careful with how you are showing up with just the colors that you are wearing and how you are wearing them. So it doesn't have the same branding effect in the certain types of garments. Now, this may be, when I talk about doing a deeper dive into your branding colors, I talk a lot about not only the essence of who you are and who you serve and the problem that you solve, and the avatar that you're trying to reach. But I'm also talking about possibly even hiring not just a branding expert, but a color expert for you that actually makes a difference when you're wearing certain things on your body. So for instance, we're talking about a lot about aging today. You want to be very careful with the type of material, the type of garments, the type of cuts and tailor and all those different things, and how those are actually looking on your body as you get older. So you shouldn't be wearing the same styles, even if you have the same color pattern. You shouldn't be wearing the same exactly in the same way that you do in your 20s versus, in your 40s, for instance, or your 40s versus your 60s. So you want to be very careful with how those different patterns and how those different garments are actually fitting to you. You might need to actually get some garments tailored to where they look a little bit different on you than maybe they did 10 years ago. So these are all things that you want to pay attention to. So if you have a certain style or if you have a certain type of shirt or whatever that you wear, you want to be very cognizant of how that's maybe draping differently or fitting you, or it maybe needs to be tailored differently without necessarily changing the actual branding essence of that particular color of that particular garment. So again, if you have any type of a style, any type of a color, you just want to be very aware of what changes, and they might be subtle and they might evolve into something different without completely changing your brand, then you might realize. So these are things that are a little bit different than people might be thinking as they've had the same brand, for instance, or the same style or the same type of color patterns for 10, 15, 20 years. So as you evolve, as you age, so does your brand. On a corporate level, you'll see a lot of companies do this for various reasons. Sometimes it's acquisitions, sometimes it's well, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Kentucky Fried Chicken had to go through a major rebrand about 10, 12 years ago because of some political controversy that they were in with how they were raising their chickens. And so you'll notice that they went through a rebrand, and they no longer say Kentucky Fried Chicken on the side of their building or in their branding. They'll say KFC, because they legally can no longer use the word chicken in their branding. But the overall colors, and it was very subtle, the overall colors, the typography, a lot of their branding didn't necessarily change, but it was how their messaging slightly started to evolve and changed across the chains, to where a lot of people maybe don't even realize the real reason why they had to make some of those changes. They actually did a very good job at when they had to do their rebrand, because a lot of people don't even really know why they had to rebrand. So there's people rebrand for all kinds of reasons. Sometimes it's political, sometimes it's different brands coming together, and sometimes it's just the overall understanding that the world has changed, the world has evolved, and so your brand must also change and evolve accordingly to more or less keep up with the times, keep up with what's going on within the world, keep up with how you are staying well positioned to your buyer, to your client, to your customer, in them understanding that you are cutting edge, that you are forward thinking, that you are in the know with everything that's going on in the world, and that you are continually evolving and putting your best foot forward with what you need to do in the marketplace of your industry. So these are all things that have a conscious and a subconscious effect on how we show up and how we represent our brand and how we're attracting the people that we're trying to attract. Now, they're very loyal brands. People, I happen to be a super, super loyal customer to Guess. I love Guess. I've been a Guess girl since the 80s. Like, it's just my brand. But if you pay attention to what Guess has done over the years, they've completely evolved. They've stayed true to their brand, but they actually have evolved not only to the typography of their brand, but they've actually changed a lot in who their client avatar is over the years. So they have a very loyal following, but they have done a very, very good job at continuing to market to the next generation and the next generation. So they have a very specific branding strategy that not only maintains their true, 80s customers, but they've done a very good job at also communicating to the younger generations up and coming. And not all brands can do that, and not all brands have been good at that. So there's different ways that brands have evolved over the years. And so I want to ask you, how are you setting up your brand right now today that is going to allow you the solid blueprint to continue to evolve? What you don't want to do is set up your brand that's for the here and now, that's not positioned well to evolve as the world changes, as you change, as your avatar maybe changes with your business, as it ebbs and flows. So as entrepreneurs, it's really easy, and I have these conversations regularly, where you're trying to more or less put out fires and solve problems right now, which is not necessarily bad. But what really puts you above the rest is to be completely forward thinking in solving problems that you know are coming down the pipeline that don't yet exist or fully exist in your marketplace. So when you're thinking that far ahead, you're already going to be positioned way above anyone in your industry. What problems are you solving now that people maybe don't even know that they have? Maybe they know that they have them, or maybe you can identify that they have other issues that they don't even know that they have in order to accomplish their goals. But what other type of challenges do you see that you can solve before they really become too much of an issue? And this is advanced thinking. This is advanced leadership. This is advanced in so many different areas, both personally and professionally. And I always challenge people to think about that. You know, I think about the brand IKEA. And IKEA, when the owner of IKEA, an inventor, really, he was a genius in his time. And when he was putting together the whole brand of IKEA, he wanted to solve a problem that nobody else could solve. So he spent months and months and months and months in shopping malls on benches watching and observing what people were buying and what they were walking out the building with. And what he realized is that people had shopping carts of all kinds of goods and wares, but they didn't have furniture. They weren't walking out of a mall with furniture. And after months and months of observation and research, he realized, how can I solve this problem? How can I solve the problem to where if people go to the mall, they can actually leave with, some easy type of furniture without having to go to a separate furniture store and completely load up a truck and have people hauling it and all these kind of things. And he actually then came up with the idea of having furniture that you assemble, that you can walk out the door with, that's easy to purchase, easy to haul, easy to transport, that you can actually put together yourself. And you don't necessarily have to go into a formal furniture store where things are already put together for you, or that you have someone putting those things together for you. Thus, IKEA was born. So he was ahead of his time in forward thinking of trying to solve a problem that people didn't even fully understand that they had at the time. And now the IKEA brand that we know it today is worldwide and solves all kinds of spatial issues, hauling issues, different types of, whether you have an apartment or a house or a kid's bedroom or a dorm, or he really solved problems that allowed us to really transform the way that we think about furniture. And so many other companies then that we can do with shopping online and stuff now have adopted the same kind of idea where you can have stuff shipped to your house and put it together yourself and all these kind of things. This kind of started back way back when you could order, kit homes from Sears Roebuck and different companies like that way back. And I'm sure people have forgotten that you could actually like buy a house and put it together. But then our culture and our world kind of changed. And then when IKEA came on, they kind of almost reintroduced that whole idea with the idea of furniture. So there's all kinds of brands that are really good at thinking about the problems that can be solved that aren't necessarily in the marketplace yet. So it doesn't matter what industry you're in. It doesn't matter if you're an online entrepreneur. It doesn't matter if you're brick and mortar. It doesn't matter your industry. I challenge you to think ahead to the problems that you can solve that are going to change your industry, are going to be world changing, life changing. How can you help solve not only the problems that need to be solved now, but how can you solve future problems that really aren't even fully in existence or awareness yet? When you can do that, you have set yourself far apart from anyone else in your industry and far ahead of where most people are and how most people think. So if it's a course today, what is it going to be actually tomorrow What is it going to be in 5 years from now? We've all seen the fast evolution of AI. There's so many things that we are seeing in AI that I don't think a lot of us could have imagined, even 2 and 5 years ago. There's just so much, whether you're writing books with AI, whether they're writing the courses for you, whether you're just using Chat GPT as a brainstorming, business partner. There's so many different ways that I'm seeing AI come onto the scene in amazing, amazing ways. So how can you actually be the AI in your industry? How can you actually be forward thinking in that? So when you think about media and you think about marketing and you think about branding, AI is one of those things that is changing. It's completely revolutionizing how we even do business, how we even show up in our daily lives most of the time. We're using AI, and it's funny because it's really evolved really, really quickly, but AI isn't just sudden. It's not just something that has just popped up in the last year or 2 years. We've actually been using AI in so many ways and just didn't even think about it in terms of how people are using it today or talking about it today. AI is not new. AI has been around for a really long time in different ways, but many of you are actually starting to integrate different forms of AI into your business, into your life. I even talk to people that maybe they're not in business, but maybe they're students, right? Or maybe they're stay-at-home moms and they're using it to be better organized, or students to be better organized, or to brainstorm papers in a different way. There's all these different things that people are doing that is amazing, that is truly mind-blowing in that. And I want you guys to think about how you are going to not only maybe use AI, but how are you going to be forward thinking with your overall media branding and marketing? What does that look like? Well, when we take a look at media, we can see that there has been a huge shift in the last 5 years, especially, but really a shift that started about 10, almost 15 years ago when it comes to media, and this huge shift with newspapers. And there's still newspapers that exist today, but there's a lot fewer than there were 5, 10, 15 years ago as the evolution of technology just continued to advance and more things began to shift online. So now even advertising, different articles, different things, there's newspapers that are solely online and they don't even do print anymore. Same with magazines. So the whole field of media has completely shifted and changed. Has your mindset and the way that you view media evolved and changed since the more or less traditional way of doing media? When you talk about social media, that's a different part of media and marketing that has completely evolved and changed. When you think about how we do business with online summits such as this one, are you sponsoring events, or are you still in the mindset of you only want to sponsor traditional, in-person conference type events, that the sponsorship is only valuable in that way? I challenge you to think about your own mindset and how you're thinking about the evolution of everything with media, branding, and marketing, and how you are continuing to evolve with the things in the world that are evolving and changing. And how are you thinking about how your brand and everything that you're doing is continuing to evolve as everything within you internally and externally is continuing to more or less age, which is what we're talking about today. There's so many different ways that you can think about this whole topic of aging and business. You can think about it as far as, yes, are we getting more wrinkles? Are we, all these different external ways? Definitely things to be paying attention to. But when you think about age in business, it's so much more than that. So I want to expand your thinking about how you are actually thinking about your brand as it evolves, as it ages, and how you are using the history of these other brands that we've talked about, whether it's IKEA or Guess or KFC and thousands of other brands. They have evolved with time. how are you choosing to evolve with time? If you've been in business the last 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, how have you evolved? How have you changed? What are you doing right now that's actually setting yourself up for that? When you implement media branding and marketing as the foundational tool for your business, you have to be aware of how these three entities are continuing to evolve and change within each of their respective industries so that you know how to continue to put those pieces together in order to best utilize them as your brand evolves and changes. When we talk about the media, the branding, the marketing, the overall business strategies, whether you're using AI, not using AI. And if you're not, I encourage you to really do a deeper dive and take a look at how that can actually be helping your business in so many ways than maybe you realize. Then I want you to think about what you are not doing that you could be doing right now. What are you doing? What are you not doing right now that you could be doing? You think, oh man, I see this person using AI for this, or I see this person, maybe on media in this way. So I'm going to simplify this because these are things that I hear from people all the time. If you are a speaker or an aspiring speaker, there is the complete misunderstanding and false information out there that virtual events are not as powerful as in-person events. And that is not true. It is how you are utilizing the strategy of how you put those things together. When you understand the power of in-person events and virtual events, and you understand the strategy of how to put those together, then you no longer think that the virtual ones aren't as effective or aren't as powerful as the in-person ones, because it's simply not true. That is something that has completely evolved with technology that has transformed many businesses that understand the power of how to do that, how to utilize that, how to reach their audience in different platforms and different modalities. So again, what are you not doing that you should be doing? How do you switch your mindset around understanding the things that maybe you've been a little bit stubborn about wanting to learn or wanting to implement? Because they could be the very things that are keeping you from reaching your goals, from reaching your avatar, and from really having the impact that you want to have. Most people get into entrepreneurship because of the impact that they want to have and the time freedom that they want to have. Those are the two things that I hear more than anything. And then the why, a lot of times being family, kids, that kind of thing. So there's some commonalities in why a lot of entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs. How do you best do that? How do you reach your goals faster? How do you actually get to where you want to go faster? Well, one, it's not being stubborn. It's not thinking that certain things are not going to work or that certain things are not for you. If you're not on YouTube, you should be on YouTube. If you're not using AI, you should be using AI. If you're not understanding the power of virtual events, dig deep into that. I implore you to really shift your mind around that. If you're not utilizing the power of social media and you're more in the traditional sense of have to be in a studio, have to be in an office, then I want you to begin to shift your mind around what that looks like. I bring these things up simply because these are conversations that I have regularly with people. And then they wonder why they're kind of stuck and not getting to where they really, really want to go. So whatever that is, I want you to jot that down right now, today, and think, you know what, maybe I should dig a little bit deeper into this. Maybe I should expand my learning, expand my knowledge base around a certain aspect that maybe I've been avoiding for way too long. And I'm sure that there's many people on this summit that can identify at least one, if not multiple things that they actually need to be doing a little bit differently. If you have not yet done the deeper dive into some basic brand building stuff, I want to encourage you to understand the power behind that, the power behind the color psychology, the power behind reaching your client avatar. It is not necessarily your favorite color. I get asked people all the time if fuchsia and magenta are my favorite color. They are not. In a deeper dive that I did in order to reach my goals, that's what I discovered that was right for my brand. It's not necessarily going to be the color that's right for you. Just because you see that certain things are working for me, you could have a totally different color palette that works for you. Don't necessarily think that just copying somebody is going to get you to where you want to go. You have to put in the work. You have to understand why it is that you're making certain decisions in order to get to where you want to go. I am a huge proponent of understanding why certain decisions have to be made. It's it's one thing to hire an expert in an area, and you want to trust the experts that you hire to do certain tasks, to do certain, whether it's branding, marketing, social media, whatever that is. But it is up to you as the leader to understand all of the different aspects that are on the basic level so that you can help continue to guide your own vehicle. They can be the expert. They can understand all the nuances that maybe you don't understand, but you still have to have a basic knowledge and understanding so that, let's be honest, so that you don't get ripped off. You know if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, all of those different things, but so that you can make informed decisions on continuing to guide those decisions, to guide your goals, to guide your business in the direction it needs to go, and not just trust people blindly because you hired, the expert. You have to be completely in the know and understanding what it is that you're doing and why certain shifts need to happen when they do, and why, as the leader of your own vehicle, that you say, you know what, we need to evolve. We need to change this. We need to do certain things to where we're keeping up in the industry. We're being forward thinking. Those are things that you think your team would be on board with you, but they don't necessarily know how to do it, and they're not going to think about it in the same way. When you are ready to evolve certain aspects of your business, when you're ready to evolve certain aspects of your branding and everything that you're doing, then you need to be the one that actually calls those shots. You need to be the one that leads your team to understanding why it's time, understanding that vision so that they can get a hold of that vision. Your team isn't necessarily going to be the one that says, hey, it's time to do this. It's time to do this. That's not necessarily their job most of the time. So when you understand all the reasons why you need to make those decisions, then you're better positioned for very forward thinking in preparation and positioning so that you can stay ahead of your industry and evolve as your brand does, and as the industry does, and as the world does. Those are such important, they sound simple, but I'm here to tell you that so many businesses don't think ahead of time to these types of issues before they happen. And then they're stuck in scramble mode trying to solve the issues that come up as they come up, rather than being forward thinking and solving them before they happen. So those are things that you have to be prepared for in your mindset as you think about this whole topic of how you are evolving and changing. Not only the strategies that you need to right now, but in the future. So when you think about the evolution of where branding, media, and marketing has come in the last 10, 15 years, where is it going? How can you be best prepared in your strategies for the future? Where is it going? And you constantly need to be thinking ahead of the game. And if you do that, you will be so far ahead of most people in your industry and that are more or less your competitors, because people are always saying, how do I stay ahead of my competitors? Well, my friends, that's one of the ways that you can challenge your brain on a regular basis in order to do just that. I love helping entrepreneurs all over the world every single day get from wherever you are to where you want to be, and more importantly, where you were created to be. Each one of you has the internal tools in your toolbox to solve external problems in only a way that you can. If you think about all these big brands, if you think about all of the world changers, they are unique in their own way. How are you showing up in your own uniqueness to solve problems that the world needs in only a way that you can? My friends, I hope that this has challenged you today. I hope that this has gotten you thinking in a little bit of a different direction about this whole topic that you are going to continue diving into for the rest of the afternoon. And with that, Marianne, thank you so much for having me. And I don't know if we want to open it up to questions, but it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
I love it. That's exactly what I was kind of hoping, the direction you were going to go. I never tell my speakers what to say. A lot of them will ask me, what do you want me to talk about? What do you want? What's the theme? Like, this is the theme. Do your thing. Go wherever you need to. And I was, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm always saying, I'm not techie, to lower expectations from the other people who are now going to be either messaging, why aren't you, And my friend said, she goes, you're like so techie, stuff I don't know. And she goes, I'm 44 and you're 63 and you know stuff that I wouldn't even begin to know where to begin. And I'm like, she's right. I do. And I was like, oh, where's my, all my feathers came out. And I'm like, you're right. And you're now talking about AI. And when AI came out, I'm like, I'm not like super drawn ever to techie. I think it's remarkable what the world of technology can do. I mean, we wouldn't be here obviously without technology, even though we have our glitches. You can't have a virtual summit this many times in a year and not have some glitches. Like, come on, it's gonna happen. So it is whatever. It's part of authenticity, and it's not that big of a deal. People get freaked out, and people should. Okay, I don't want to should all over people, but really perfectionism is such a stressful thing. Like, just let it go. But I have a lot of AIs that I work with. Do you know that I bought an AI maybe 2.5? I don't know when he first brought it out. His name is Armin Morin, and he is one of Russell Bronson's coaches. And he put out an AI, and I bought it, and I used it back then for just some stuff. And then I joined Bank Code Breakers. So Sherry Tree has a really awesome AI that will structure your sentence, whatever you have, like emails, posts, anything, letters, whatever you have. It'll structure it in the 4 personalities that you want it to structure it. So you give it directions and then it does that. And now we just got one recently, a few months back, with the APL Go with the supplements that I have, and it's called Luna. And I just used it for the first time. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. I don't have to worry about anything. It just does everything. I don't have to, and I'm like, what if I do so? What if I say something wrong that I'm not supposed to, that the company's going to come there and they're going to shut down my thing, or Facebook? No, it just does it automatically. I don't have to think about anything. I love AI. And you know what? I'm 63 now. I'm going strong. I just found the last couple of days, I found my place where I'm going to do my new thing. I've been talking about it with you for a bit about doing the wellness expos. Mm-hmm. So I finally found a super awesome home. I mean, I may do it in other places as well, but I found a super awesome home and I'm so excited. I was 50 when I got my real estate license. So you know what? Keeping busy and, fulfilling your purpose. I'm going to be opening up a non-for-profit soon. Like that, the possibilities are endless. If you think you're done because you're 60 or 50 or 55, or I don't know, whatever your limitations are, I don't want to mess with them, but you're wrong. You know what? Just forget all that. Just go after whatever you want to do. Yep. People ask me, what are you going to do when you retire? I go, what's retirement? Yeah. Like, I'm going to do more retreats, maybe less, I don't know what. Like, I don't know. Maybe I won't want to travel as much. I'll travel less. Maybe I'll want to travel more. I had no idea. I did, with 2020 and stuff, and with us not, being able to go out so much, I got used to not traveling, and I'm a big traveling. This year, I have like 8, 9, and now your fault. Another trip that I may or may not take. It's a lot of travel for me, in a year. I have a lot of work that I have to do here physically, and I know you travel like all the time. You're just like all the time. So you know what? Traveling not a limitation as you get older. It's a comfort zone. Get lighter baggage, get the bags. I know one of my friends would say, "Oh, I can't lift it." I go, "Me neither. Sometimes I can. I usually can, but you know what? If you wait for the luggage, a guy will always help you, or somebody, or a younger girl who's stronger works out. If you have a bag that you can handle, it's no big deal. Things fall into place. Like, don't get caught up in stuff. So
Nope,
thank you so
never too
much,
late.
Lori. That was amazing. Do you want to tell us anything about any upcoming events or things that you might have in the near future? I would love it if you talked about some of that.
Near future. Well, you know me, I always have 1,000
I
things
know.
going on.
Tell us.
So
Promote.
promote. Well, there's a couple of things specifically that I have coming up. One is some of you may already be a member, and if you're not, you should be, of Business Builders. It's a monthly exclusive club that is absolutely amazing. We have monthly live events. There's different training on demand that I do. That's every single month that I put in the portal. There's all kinds of prizes. There's just all kinds of really cool things that happen. Lots of hot seats and live coaching and training, special guests that I bring forward. That's an amazing membership. If you want to learn more about that, then reach out to Marianne or myself and we'll get you the information that you need. I also have an event coming up in Hawaii. And I know that that's one that Marianne's wanting to go on and might be also going on to Hawaii. Yes. So it's going to be right on Waikiki. Yeah. It's going to be right on Waikiki Beach. And it is going to be an awesome mastermind event. I have amazing people flying in from all over for that event, both as speakers and participants. It's going to be phenomenal. If you want more information about that mastermind event, let me know because I have a few tickets left, but we are wrapping up the details for that and we're going to be going full speed ahead in the next few days. So you want to reserve your spot. I think I have a few spots left, but it is filling up quickly because it's Hawaii and we're going to be diving into all kinds of business strategy. It's going to be incredible. So I have some surprise speakers and guests going to be there, and I like surprises, so I never let everyone know all of the information in advance. But we have some cool activities planned and just lots of fun stuff. So if you want to hang out with awesome rock stars in the business and leadership industry that are making waves around the world, then let me know because yeah, waves literally. We're gonna be in Hawaii. Um, Marianne's doing the hula dance. Then let me know because you want to reserve your ticket ASAP and get your butt to Hawaii because it's gonna be awesome.
And
And those are
to
the
be in Hawaii. Did she mention it's going to be in Hawaii?
yeah, Hawaii. Yes. And I have all kinds of events all over the world. I have London coming up. I have the Maldives coming up. There's all kinds of really cool things. I have stuff going on all the time. So if you're interested in knowing about any of my events, either as a participant or as a speaker, then get a hold of me ASAP so that we can get you locked in and get you going in a completely different direction than you maybe even thought you were going to be doing in 2025.
Who's going to the Maldives with you, Lori? Anybody special on this call?
On this call. Well, I think a certain blonde that I'm staring at wants to go to the Maldives.
Yeah, I still do highlights, but there's great. And I was going to say, when you were talking, I'm like, you know what? She's totally right. Because look at, even today, I'm wearing black and white just because I think this is cool. I love animal prints. I don't think I've ever worn gray in my entire life until a few years ago. And I started embracing, gray with white, with black, with whatever. I mean, it's a great color. It's just I've always sort of, no, this doesn't look good on me. And now I'm like, yeah, I think it calms me down a little bit, and yeah. I like it. Anyway, that's all.
Lori, when you mentioned that, you immediately made me question my choice in white. Like, this is the dress that I wear when I'm on a boat, right? But it's loose, it's free, and in the wellness space, when you're representing wellness,
Mhm.
I thought white. So what would you say to that?
Mm.
You know, in the wellness space, depending on if you're talking about it being more personal or corporate or a mix or different things like that, we do see a lot of white. And in the more like allopathic space, we see it a lot, right? With coats and different things like that. It doesn't matter what type of wellness or what type of, health or wellness space that you're in. But in the more traditional allopathic sense, we tend to associate that with a white coat a lot of times. So I think that subconsciously, no matter what type of health and wellness space that you're in, it's the purity, it's the cleanliness, it's the professional traditional sense. There's all those things that are not wrong, but we always have to be cognizant of how we are communicating those as our brand personally and internally and externally are evolving. So if you want to continue white as your main brand color, not just the color that you wear, but your main brand color, then you have to be very aware of how your essence, your hair, your skin is changing and how you might need to incorporate a different color in that. I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong or right. I'm just saying these are things to think about, like as you move forward to where you're not wearing all white all the time, but how are you incorporating something into that? Does that make sense?
Makes sense. And in the Kundalini yoga space, Marianne mentioned that I'm a certified Kundalini yoga teacher. It is practice that we wear white because white is the color of purity. It
Right.
shows up your auric field, and white has every other color in it, right? But it can look very like you're in a cult, right? So I tend to add colors, turquoise, rich,
Mm.
warm, inviting colors to that, right? So I love where you went with this being forward minded, but I still have to use traditions as well.
Right.
So that's something I'm grappling with.
Yeah, no, and I completely understand. And you don't want to necessarily get completely away from your industry and what it works and what is known and that kind of thing. So when you said turquoise, this is one of the reasons why I love that you're incorporating more turquoise. Turquoise is more or less the tertiary from the blues, which stand for movement, which stand for water, which stand for calmness, which stand for all of the different things within the blue hues, not to mention the loyalty and the trust as you get into the different shades of blues. So when you get into the tertiary of the turquoise, then it embodies and still supports everything that your industry and the white would still represent. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. And if I may add, one other thing that comes to mind is as a woman who has always lived in a masculine world, go, 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 doing this, that water element that
Mhm.
women need to get back into that feminine, the
Yep.
power of the feminine divine. For me,
Right.
turquoise represents that. It reminds me that I no longer have to be masculine. Be like water, invite the water element. Yeah.
Yes. And is your primary avatar female, or do you work with both male and females?
Oh, that is a great question because I've always seen my brand as the woman who is aging gracefully, who's being more mindful, but not slowing down, actually speeding up by using mindfulness. But when I look at my followers, it's actually like about 60-40, 60% women, 40% men.
Mm,
Um, and the product that I have, aside from the Kundalini, the magnesium, is non-binary. So it's both geared towards male and female because magnesium is the master mineral. You need it whether you're working out or if you want to sleep better or just be more mindful. Male
Mhm.
and female.
Sorry, that was me checking Facebook to see if there's any
So
questions.
one of the things that you might want to think about as you're thinking about this whole color palette and the male versus the female is that I love how the turquoise basically supports everything that the white supports. But if it's 60-40, and let's just to say, for example, that you want to better support your male audience, or you would just to say your goal is to increase that, for instance, I'm not saying it is or isn't, then you might want to think about a two-tone turquoise to where one is slightly lighter and one is slightly darker, because the two-tone mixed with the white, first of all, there's power in three, there's power in the odd number if you incorporate those three, but the subconscious mind will speak to the male and the female differently in the two-tone turquoise, or and support them and be drawn to you magnetically in a different way subconsciously if you mix in the two. And if you have the power of the three, that could actually really, really strengthen your brand.
Amazing. And, I speak to my team all the time about color. I work with a younger team because, younger people, especially when it comes to AI and building a brand online, they're more inclined to be aware of that. But it's teaching them the subtlety, like as we age and we've been in business, we've been in entrepreneurship, for decades, that color transcends energy. So like red is a
Mhm.
no. For this brand, red is a no.
Right.
That's aggressive. We want grounding. We want trust.
Right.
So yeah, we spend a lot of time about finding who your ideal clientels are, but like the nuance, the subtlety of colors.
It's huge.
Yes.
I teach classes on the psychology of branding and the psychology of color. In fact, I'm actually coming out with a book called Neuro Branding by the end of the year. And it's so important for people to understand. Like it literally can change your whole mindset and the whole way that you think about branding and about messaging and about reaching your clients, and just understanding the neuroscience and the psychology behind the color is super, super powerful. So I love that. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. And you dropped so many nuggets in your chat. I mean, and I'd like to go back about the AI part because as we sage as women and we get into our 50s and we're aging, one of the things that I love about you too is you exemplify joy, joy in creation. And that is the key. Creating, using, in Kundalini, we talk about the Kundalini energy, which you could say is your sexual energy, right? But we always say in Kundalini, you can only make so many babies. So, how do you move that energy up into creativity?
Mhm.
And that is one of the things that brings joy and harmony when you're here to do what you were meant to do through creating through your own unique way.
Mhm.
And as women entrepreneurs, and I help a lot of women with this through meditation and visualization, um, we need tools like AI because maybe the money's not there. Maybe this is a new platform or form for you. So get in there. I love that you invited people to try it out because a lot of times AI is just fear-based. It's going to take over our jobs. It's going to do this, it's going to do that. But guess what? It can cut time, it can expedite. So I love that you are just sharing these nuggets and these gems that it's never too late because man, I surprise myself. I'm like Marianne who says that before, I never used to be a techie, but now I understand. But just by doing these little things and placing yourself in rooms where you're not necessarily the smartest person, you're actually confused. So being around people that can teach you, that can show you, that can guide you. And as women, technology and numbers are two of the things that scare us the most. Like get in there, do it, and I'm in no time, you're going to be surprised as to understanding that you're in the right place at the right time,
Yep.
and right here, right now is where you need to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I'm so glad that you found so many nuggets and aha moments in what I shared. That's always my goal, is to get people thinking a little bit differently. So thank you so much for sharing that. I love that feedback, and I love your beautiful energy, and it's just so great to connect with you and meet you.
Thank you.
Well, it appears as though you're not the only one having issues with technology today. So my next speaker is having a bit of a hard time getting in. So let's just wait for him. I may have to answer the phone. But yes, it's wonderful. But you know what? You could wear white when you're teaching Kundalini yoga. If you like, do you always wear white when you teach it?
I always represent something in white and a color, because I believe the color makes you more relatable.
I
It
think so
draws
too.
you in. Turquoise is my go-to, but things like olive, an olive color, warm, earthy,
Mhm,
grounding. I'm an
mhm,
earth mama,
mhm.
so I
Yes, you
like to
are.
ground. I like to connect. Yeah.
Yes. I like olive or khaki or whatever color too. That's a good color for me. Turquoise-ish, blue, anything like that. Those are my favorite. But I like to wear different colors too. And I know Lori always suggests, wear your brand. And I wear like 80% of my wardrobe is blue, of some version, some version of blue, and I love it. But sometimes I really feel the need to wear something else. I just feel like it that day, and so I will.
Yeah.
But when I used to teach it, I did wear white, while we had to, like, to train and so on and so forth. And when we go to the different events, and when we went to New Mexico and everything, I wore the white. But when I started, I really liked I liked the whole atmosphere. So there's a whole business side to me, of course, and you have to, and the blazers and the suits, not so much anymore. It's kind of too stiff for me. I'm getting a little loosey gooseier. But then I really love, like, I am so that girl that's going to wear the tie dye with the big peace sign on my chest. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. I had a t-shirt that I got when I was in Venice Beach that had this big giant peace sign. I wore that thing to death. Like, it was just my favorite t-shirt. I must have worn it for teaching yoga and Reiki and all my classes like that, which was one of my favorite things. So there's the hippie version, and then there's the business girl. I love that. Anyways, Lori, thank you so much. I know you have to go, so I will definitely let you go. I need to keep an eye out on my next speaker to see if he can get in. Thank you so much. I love everything you said, as always. There's so many nuggets. I hope you all wrote. I did. Look at this. So these are my books when I have my summits and I'm taking notes from my speakers. Because I get to learn too, right? It doesn't matter. Even when you're coaching people, you get to learn, right? Like, we don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. We're just here to help guide. Anyways, thank you so much, Lori. I hope you have a beautiful day. As always, she's amazing. Yes, I'm going to the Maldives, and I may be going to Hawaii. I'm trying to rearrange my schedule, and I'm really fingers crossed. Thank you so much, and have
Thank
a
you so much.
beautiful day. Feel free to go into my Facebook, and in the chat you can put your contact info, but also anyone can just connect with me, and I'm happy to connect you to Lori, no problem, if you can't find her. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Mwah.
so much. Thank you so much. Awesome as always. And you
Thanks.
guys have a great rest of your day and learn a lot in the rest of the summit, because there's some awesome speakers coming up. And
Yes.
with that, I will let you go. Thanks again, Marianne.
Thank you so much. And
Valerie.
thanks for overcoming see, this is what happens, tech issues, and she still made it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too, honey. Thank you.